Welcome to Borderline Debates, where we challenge assumptions and dig beneath the headlines. I'm your host, Maestro Morales. Today, we're deconstructing a deeply flawed opinion piece by Tim Steller, published in the Arizona Daily Star on November 19th, 2025, about the University of Arizona's decision to name their football stadium after Casino del Sol. But before we dissect this argument, let me tell you about something Steller chose not to write about, something far more urgent, far more deadly, and far more deserving of investigative journalism. On October 30th, 2025, Tucson was rocked by tragedy. 3 University of Arizona students, Josiah Patrick Santos, 22 years old, Sofia Akimi Trotel, 21, and Katia Rosaura Castillo Mendoza, 21, were struck and killed by a speeding impaired driver while crossing at a marked crosswalk near campus. These deaths were no accident, a chance. The crosswalk where this occurred at Euclid Avenue and East 2nd Street had long been recognized as dangerous. For at least 2 years, safety advocates warned city officials about inadequate lighting, missing signals, and unsafe traffic patterns. Yet improvements remained in the planning phase as students risked their lives daily. The driver, 19-year-old Luis John Artel, was in a 2019 Porsche Boxster, speeding through the intersection while impaired. Witnesses said he fled the scene before surrendering. Despite being initially charged with 3 counts of second-degree murder, the charges were later reduced to manslaughter, and he was released on bond for $250,000. The Tucson community erupted in grief and anger. Within a week, over 10,000 signatures demanded urgent pedestrian safety upgrades. Students packed city council chambers on November 5th, passionately calling for change to prevent future deaths. Council members acknowledged the crisis, emphasizing that what happened was preventable. One key city council meeting was held just a day before Tim Steller's column appeared, where pedestrian safety, infrastructure failures, and this heartbreaking crisis dominated conversations. The urgency was palpable, the wounds fresh. And yet, Steller's column makes barely a mention of any of this. Instead, he focuses on a stadium naming deal. When I first heard that the Pascuayaqui tribe was investing $60 million over 20 years to secure naming rights for Arizona Stadium, I was skeptical. Was this the best way for the tribe to invest resources? But then I delved into the tribe's history, marked by persecution, forced migration, and unyielding resilience. The Pascuayaqui, who call themselves Yoeme, fled violence in Mexico over a century ago, settling on a barren ground known today as Old Pascua. This land has deep spiritual significance, where traditional Yoeme practices blend with Catholic elements, reflecting centuries of cultural fusion. The construction of Interstate 10 in 1958 violently tore through these communities, severing families and displacing entire neighborhoods. For decades, lack of federal recognition left the tribe legally vulnerable. Today, the Pascuayaqui tribe has over 14,000 enrolled members and operates successful casinos on tribal lands. The Old Pascua neighborhood, newly reclaimed by the tribe since 2022, is set to be transformed by a $172 million investment in Casino del Sol Bahi Ta'am, the Three Suns, a culturally rooted economic and community hub. Understanding this profound narrative changed my view on the stadium deal, from skepticism to respect for indigenous sovereignty and renewal. Tim Steller begins with the concession that the University of Arizona faces significant financial struggles. He notes that an annual $3 million from this naming deal would support athletic operations, which are often underfunded. But his pivot is swift and stark. The stadium naming deal with Casino del Sol, a tribal gambling enterprise, supposedly reinforces tendencies, quote, toward harmful sports betting cultures rampant among U of A students. To make his case, Steller cites interviews with roughly a dozen male students about their gambling habits, along with statistics on Arizona's booming sports betting market. But here's the crucial contradiction. Steller admits Casino del Sol itself doesn't currently offer online sports betting, the platform through which almost all collegiate gambling occurs today. That undermines his claim that putting the casino's name on the stadium directly encourages or amplifies student gambling addiction. Let's look closely at the data Steller himself provides, because it tells a more complex story. Arizona's sports betting market jumped dramatically in the 4 years since legalization, from $291 million in legal bets in September of 2021 to $851 million by September 2025, just months before the stadium deal. If Stellar's real concern is student harm and addiction, then why isn't his column demanding higher taxation on betting platforms and more funding for addiction treatment? Instead, his focus narrows to a local tribal casino, which does not even engage in the main avenue driving online sports gambling among students. Much of Stellar's argument depends on anecdotal interviews. About a dozen male students on campus described gambling behaviors. He shares one student's claim about being $10,000 in the hole, but crucial questions are left unasked. Did Stellar verify this claim? Where was this money lost? At Casino del Sol or via online apps? When did the losses occur? Stellar also notes 2 of his interviewees had been to Casino del Sol to gamble. That's roughly 17% of his very small sample. Is that meaningful? Statistically, not really. Did he even ask if their gambling was primarily at the casino or on online sports betting apps? These essential journalistic questions remain unanswered. Now, let's take a deep dive into the core of Tim Stellar's argument and why it falls apart under close scrutiny. His column is riddled with logical fallacies, which are errors in reasoning that distort truth, mislead audiences, and undermine serious discourse. Understanding these fallacies isn't just an academic exercise. It's critical to see why his critique is flawed and how these mistakes shape public opinion wrongly. Fallacy number 1, false cause, or post hoc ergo propter hoc. Stellar suggests that because the University of Arizona named its stadium after Casino del Sol, this will cause student gambling addiction. This is a classic false cause fallacy, a correlation mistaken for causation. Listen to the logic he implies. The stadium is now Casino del Sol Stadium. Student gambling is a growing problem. Therefore, the stadium name is responsible for increasing gambling harm. But here's why that doesn't hold water. The explosion in sports betting among college students started years before this naming deal. The Supreme Court legalized sports betting nationwide in 2018. Arizona legalized it in 2021. Casino del Sol's stadium deal came after these major developments. Just because the stadium naming happened doesn't mean one caused the other. In fact, this naming was just announced last week. It's like saying ice cream sales cause drowning because both go up in summer. The real causes demand deeper investigation, aggressive marketing, smartphone apps, and changing laws. In fact, Stellar himself unwittingly undermines his claim by noting that Casino del Sol does not even offer online betting, which is where almost all student gambling takes place today. Fallacy number 2, the red herring. While real, life-threatening safety issues plague University of Arizona students, 3 were killed recently in the drunk driving crash at a dangerous crosswalk. Stellar focuses attention on a symbolic naming controversy. This is a textbook red herring, diverting discussion from a deadly infrastructure crisis and its consequences to a peripheral issue that, while symbolically charged, lacks direct evidence of causing harm. Consider the timeline. October 30th, 3 students killed in a crosswalk that the city had known was hazardous for years. November 5th, over 10,000 residents demand immediate safety upgrades. November 18th, City Council still grappling with pedestrian deaths and infrastructure failures. The very next day, November 19th, Stellar's column writing about Casino del Sol stadium naming. This distraction not only impedes effective solutions, but also shows a troubling prioritization in focus. Remember, he's talking about student danger caused by addiction. And that's fallacy number 3, the straw man. Stellar caricatures student gamblers as reckless, irresponsible degenerates, unquote, suggesting they indiscriminately pour money into betting, driven by casino influence. But this exaggeration, or straw man, oversimplifies the reality. Many students gamble responsibly, limit their stakes, or use gambling apps under self-control. Some stop once losses accumulate. This oversimplification avoids a nuanced discussion about predatory app marketing, brain development, economic pressures, and regulatory gaps, all more potent forces than a stadium name. Fallacy number 4, appeal to fear. Stellar peppers his column with alarming claims. Students' widespread addiction which sparked fear and moral panic. Fear grabs attention but can also block reasoned analysis. It tempts audiences to accept weak evidence and seek scapegoats rather than address systemic causes. Responsible journalism balances urgency with empathy and clear evidence, something Stellar glosses over. Fallacy number 5, guilt by association. Simply because Casino del Sol is a casino, Stellar links it to all gambling harms on campus. Yet he acknowledges the casino is a local tribal enterprise with positive community effects. This guilt by association ignores that most student gambling occurs through online platforms the casino doesn't operate or control. Fallacy number 6, special pleading. Stellar singles out the tribal casino deal for criticism but ignores systemic normalization of gambling and alcohol. The Gin and Juice Bowl, an alcohol-themed event, happens at this same stadium. Persistent beer advertising saturates game days. Tailgating culture, officially endorsed, is rampant despite associated harms. Major sports broadcasts, including college football, feature betting ads. This special pleading applies moral standards selectively, targeting one issue and ignoring others, far more harmful. What has caused more deaths on campus lately? The addiction to alcohol that has caused drunk driving deaths, or naming the stadium after a tribal casino. Together, these fallacies aren't mistakes, they're strategic distortions. They distract from real risks and unfairly stigmatize a tribal enterprise. Recognizing this helps bring clarity and strengthens honest community dialogue. If we want safer students and campuses, let's focus on real action. Install hawk signals immediately at dangerous crossings. Improve street lighting and pedestrian infrastructure. Enforce DUI laws aggressively. Address campus alcohol culture that directly contributes to harm. If gambling addiction is a genuine concern, we should regulate online betting apps with real age verification. Ban predatory promotions targeting youth. Tax gambling revenues fairly and fund addiction resources. Educate students early on gambling risks through mandatory orientation and courses. Let's zoom out and consider the broader cultural significance at stake here. The Bascoyaki tribe are not just business owners, they're a vibrant indigenous community with a profound history stretching back centuries. Their name, Yoeme, means people, underscoring their deep connection to land, culture, and community. Old Bascua, the neighborhood north of downtown Tucson, holds sacred ceremonial importance. It's a place where traditional Yoeme worship blends uniquely with Catholic influences, a vivid example of cultural resilience and synthesis. The tribe was tragically displaced in the mid-20th century, primarily by the construction of Interstate 10, which severed and shattered families and communities. For decades, they lacked federal recognition and the agency to reclaim their homelands. But thanks to relentless advocacy and heritage preservation, they secured federal recognition and have spent decades rebuilding social, economic, and cultural structures. The Casino del Sol Vahitam project isn't just a casino or a name on a stadium. It's a manifestation of sovereignty, a tangible step towards self-determination and intergenerational prosperity. The $172 million project promises jobs, cultural revitalization that honors heritage while inviting the wider Tucson community to appreciate young traditions. Supporting the tribe here means supporting healing, economic independence, and cultural survival. As we bring this episode to a close, it is worth remembering that discussions about naming rights and student gambling are ultimately about people and values. The Bascoyaki tribe's investment in this stadium and their growing role in Tucson's social fabric is an opportunity for the community to embrace reconciliation, respect, and mutual support. If this story moved you, consider engaging meaningfully. Visit Casino del Sol Vahitam when it opens and experience Yoeme culture firsthand. Learn about and attend events like the Deer Dance that celebrate Native traditions, usually around Easter time. Support Indigenous-owned businesses as part part of a larger commitment to equity and justice. Real solidarity is not empty words, but active participation and listening. And finally, remember Josiah, Sophia, and Katya, not just as victims of tragedy, but as members of a community that demands safer streets and accountable leadership. Together, we can advocate for safety, respect cultural sovereignty, and foster informed, compassionate dialogue. Thank you for listening to this episode of Borderline Debates. I'm Maestro Morales.